The courtroom didn't breathe. A teenage boy in designer sneakers stood inches from Judge Judy's bench, his jaw tight, his entitlement louder than the murmurs trembling through the audience. Then, an open palm cracked through the silence. The slap echoed like a gunshot. For one suspended heartbeat, even the cameras froze. And as Judge Judy slowly lifted her eyes to meet his, the room realized something terrifying. This story had just begun. The slap still hangs in the air like smoke, refusing to fade. It trembles in the silence, an echo that seems to settle into every corner of the courtroom. For a moment, no one moves. Not the bailiff, not the audience, not even the cameras perched on their steel arms, pointed like witnesses that never blink. Judge Judy remains perfectly still. Her eyes, sharp enough to cut through the kind of arrogance money buys, hold on the teenager standing before her bench. His hand is frozen midair, as if even he cannot believe what he just did. His designer hoodie hangs slightly crooked from the sudden movement, and his chest rises and falls with the jagged rhythm of someone who has never been forced to face himself. The victim, smaller, quieter, shoulders drawn inward, watches from the plaintiff's table. He clutches a torn backpack against his chest as though it were armor. The strap is frayed, the zipper is broken, his knuckles are white, his eyes are red in the way eyes get when tears have been stopped mid-fall too many times. The defendant's wealthy parents surge forward at once, as if they can swallow the moment with urgency before it has time to become real. The mother reaches for her son, her diamond bracelets jangling like nervous bells. The father raises a hand, already preparing a speech about misunderstandings, provocations, and reputation. Their instinct is not concern. It is control. But the courtroom feels different now. There's a weight in the stillness, a pressure that makes everyone sit up straighter. Something irreversible has just happened, and no polished smile can undo the sound of that slap. Judge Judy finally blinks, just once. It is enough to remind the room she has not lost command of the moment. She leans back slowly, folding her hands with a patience that feels more dangerous than yelling. When she speaks, her voice does not rise, it drops. "What?" she says, each word measured like a verdict. "Exactly do you think you just did?" It is not a question of curiosity. It is a question that slices. It lands not on the boy, but on the room itself, as if everyone present must now account for the way arrogance behaves when it believes itself untouchable. The boy shifts his weight. His confidence, once loud enough to fill the space, now flickers like a candle struggling against wind. He opens his mouth, but no words form. His throat tightens visibly. Whatever defense he planned evaporates beneath the glare of someone who has seen every version of this story 1,000 times. The mother steps in, desperate to shield him with explanation, but Judge Judy lifts a hand. The gesture is small. The meaning is enormous. Silence. It returns heavier than before. And then, with a calm so sharp it sounds like steel sliding into place, Judge Judy tilts her head just slightly. "Because what happens next," she says, "depends entirely on your answer." His mouth opens again, just as someone in the audience mutters, "He meant it." The moment the whisper cuts through the air, the teen's posture tightens. His head snaps toward the audience, eyes narrowing in a way that reveals exactly who he is when no one important is watching. But when he turns back to Judge Judy, the arrogance returns, reshaped, polished, forced into something he thinks looks respectable. The mini hook hits fast. He lifts his chin, he smirks, and he decides disastrously to talk. "Your Honor," he begins, tone dripping with practiced innocence, "it was reflex. I did not mean anything." The courtroom reacts with a low, tense murmur. It is the sound of people who know a lie when they hear one. His mother exhales loudly, convinced her son has just delivered the line that will save him. The father nods in agreement, too eagerly, like a man who mistakes confidence for truth. Judge Judy does not nod. She does not move. She simply watches him, her expression unreadable but undeniably sharp, the kind of stare that strips away performance, leaving only intention behind. "A reflex," she repeats, slow and steady. "Explain that." The boy hesitates. It is slight, barely a flicker, but the hesitation is seen by everyone. He tries to rebuild the smirk, stretching it across his face like a shield, but his voice betrays him. He came at me. I reacted. The victim lifts his head at that. His expression does not harden. It sinks. There's a kind of pain that does not shout. It folds inward, and the judge sees it. Came at you? She asks. That child? She gestures to the smaller boy at the plaintiff's table. He approached you aggressively? The defendant swallows. His attorney steps in quickly, placing a reassuring hand on the boy's shoulder as if to remind him they still have a strategy. The lawyer speaks with rehearsed calm. Your Honor, my client was startled. Teenagers can be impulsive. Impulsive, Judge Judy cuts in, her voice suddenly precise. Or entitled? The lawyer falters. The boy shifts again, discomfort spreading across his face like a crack beneath fresh paint. The judge leans slightly forward, just enough for the room to feel the shift in power. Let me ask you something, she says softly. When you slapped him, where was your fear? Because I saw your posture. I saw your hand. That did not look like fear to me. The defendant's jaw clenches. His fingers curl around the edge of the table, knuckles whitening. He tries another tactic, deflection. He's been annoying me for weeks. Annoying, Judge Judy repeats with a nod that's not a nod at all. So now annoyance justifies violence? His mother jumps in, her voice too bright, too frantic. He did not mean it that way. He's under stress, school pressure, expectations. Kids today go through so much. Do they? Judge Judy asks. Or do parents just give them excuses before they learn accountability? The mother shuts her mouth. The victim speaks softly, almost apologetically. I did not do anything. I just asked for my backpack back. The judge turns. Your backpack? The boy nods, holding up the torn, frayed bag. Something shifts. A collective inhale. Judge Judy turns back to the defendant. Why? She asks plainly. Did he need to ask you for something that already belonged to him? The teen freezes. He opens his mouth to answer, just as his story from Section 1 collapses under a single impossible question. The question lands with the force of a dropped gavel. Why did he need to ask you for something that already belonged to him? The boy's confidence flickers. A mini-hook in 3 beats. He hesitates. He breathes unevenly. He realizes Judge Judy is not letting him hide behind rehearsed charm. The defendant's eyes dart to his parents, searching for rescue. None comes. His mother's expression tightens, and his father's jaw locks into a frustrated line. They know that look on the judge's face. It is the look of someone who has just spotted the thread that unravels everything. He misplaced it, the teen stammers, attempting to regain composure. Judge Judy raises an eyebrow. Misplaced it while you were holding it? His throat tightens. A sheen of sweat appears along his brow. He shifts his feet, his designer sneakers squeaking slightly against the polished floor. Every sound feels amplified now, carrying the weight of dishonesty. The victim speaks quietly. He took it from me. At lunch, I tried to get it back. The defendant shakes his head quickly. He is lying. He bumped into me first. Judge Judy does not look at the victim. She does not look at the parents. She keeps her gaze locked on the defendant, studying him like a puzzle she has already figured out, but is giving him the chance to assemble himself. Your story is changing, she says. It's not, he protests, voice cracking. First it was reflex, then fear. And now it is self-defense against annoyance. She leans forward. Which version would you like the court to believe? His mouth opens again, but no words come. The room observes in real time as ego collides with truth and begins to buckle. Then the side door opens. It is subtle, just a quiet creak, but the entire courtroom turns. A man steps in, plain clothes, low posture, calloused hands and tired eyes. A custodian's badge hangs from his belt. He walks as if he would rather not be seen, but knows he must. Judge Judy watches him approach. Can I help you, sir? He clears his throat. Your Honor, I saw what happened. The boy's parents stiffen. The defendant himself takes a step back, panic creeping into his face. The custodian lifts a folder, nothing dramatic, nothing grand, just a simple manila folder that looks far too light to carry the shift it is about to bring. I thought, you'd want this, he says, voice small but steady. Judge Judy gestures for him to place it on the bench. The room leans forward, breath held as if even oxygen might influence the moment. The custodian sets the folder down gently, almost reverently, as though placing truth in its rightful place. "What is inside?" Judge Judy asks. He looks at the defendant, at the victim, then back to the judge. Pictures. From the camera outside the cafeteria, it shows what really happened. The defendant's face drains of color. Judge Judy lets the silence settle, heavy and expectant. The entire room knows something significant is about to surface, something that will not bend under privilege or excuses. She places her fingertips on the edge of the folder. "And when I open this," she says softly, "we are going to see who has been lying." The room tightens as Judge Judy lifts the folder, her fingers steady, her expression unreadable. A mini hook in 3 sharp cuts. The flap opens. The photos slide out. The defendant's composure drains like color from wet paint. The first photo is harsh, fluorescent cafeteria lighting freezing a moment that was never meant to hide. The defendant stands over the smaller boy, hand clenched around the backpack strap like someone claiming territory, not property. The victim's posture is small, defensive, the kind of posture learned long before this incident. Judge Judy studies the image without looking away. The boy shifts under her gaze, shoulders folding inward, the smirk he once wore, now fully vanished. She holds up the second photo. This one is worse. The defendant has cornered the victim against the wall. No threats, no gestures, just the smothering presence of someone who knows power, knows audience, knows the calculated cruelty of performance. The victim's hands hover between surrender and plea. A ripple moves through the courtroom, quiet, stunned, disbelieving. Judge Judy lowers the picture. The silence becomes a temperature, cold, heavy, merciless. "So," she says softly, "tell me again about fear." The defendant swallows hard. His parents exchange a panic-laced glance, their orchestrated confidence unraveling. The father tries first, stepping forward with urgent authority. "Your Honor, these photos, there must be context, angles, kids' posture, they play around. These are not children playing." Judge Judy cuts in, voice sharp enough to still him. "This is intimidation. This is possession. This is deliberate." The mother's voice trembles. "My son would never." "He did," Judge Judy slices back. "He did, and he enjoyed the power of doing it." The attorney tries another angle. "Your Honor, a still image cannot capture nuance." Judge Judy lifts the third photo. Nuance dies on sight. The third photo shows the defendant moments before the slap. His eyes narrowed, his shoulders squared, and his hand is not reacting. It is preparing. Pulled back, poised, collected. A decision, not an accident. The mother gasps. The father steps back as though the image has weight. Their son looks at the floor, then up at the judge, then away again. Every gesture exposes more truth. Judge Judy presses the photos together with measured calm. "You did not lose control. You exercised it." His breath comes in short bursts now, as if honesty has finally cornered him. The judge turns to the custodian. "These are all the images?" He hesitates. "No, Your Honor, there were more. But some frames are missing." "Missing?" Her tone sharpens. "Explain." The custodian gestures toward the camera angle. "Looks like someone stepped in front of the lens for a few seconds. On purpose." A collective inhale sweeps through the room. Judge Judy turns slowly to the defendant. "Who is with you?" He stiffens. "No one." The victim speaks gently. "There was a boy behind him. I saw his shoes." The defendant's jaw tightens. Judge Judy nods once, as if confirming a suspicion she had already formed. "So someone helped you. Someone who does not want to be seen." The room bristles with new tension, fresh, electric, dangerous. "Then we will find him," Judge Judy says, sliding the photos aside, "because this story has another player hiding in plain sight." The air feels different when Judge Judy says there is someone else. A mini-hook in 3 beats. The defendant stiffens, the parents freeze, and the courtroom leans forward, hungry for the truth he thought he buried. Judge Judy does not repeat herself. She does not raise her voice. She simply waits, hands folded, eyes steady, letting the weight of silence squeeze the truth closer to the surface. "Name," she says. The defendant wets his lips, a gesture that betrays fear more effectively than any trembling voice. There was no one. Judge Judy tilts her head. That was not a suggestion, it was a demand. The boy's mother jumps to his defense, stepping forward with a polished mix of concern and practiced indignation. Your Honor, my son does not have to disclose anything that— Sit, Judge Judy replies. Two things happen at once. The mother sits, and the courtroom exhales as if someone finally reopened the windows. The victim watches all of this with a kind of quiet exhaustion, the emotional fatigue of someone who has explained himself too many times and been believed too few. His fingers tighten on the torn backpack again, grounding himself in the only thing he has left that the defendant cannot take: the truth. Judge Judy turns to him. You said you saw someone behind him. Describe what you saw. The victim nods slowly. Not his face, but his shoes. They were red, the really bright kind. He always wears them. The defendant's head snaps toward him, panic flaring in his eyes like a match. Judge Judy notices. Always? She asks. The victim nods again. He follows him everywhere. A ripple of whispers drifts through the courtroom. A shadow of recognition passes through several students seated in the audience. Guilt, fear, uncertainty. It is the kind of collective reaction that tells a judge she is close to something bigger than one slap or one arrogant boy. Judge Judy looks back at the defendant. Let me make this easy for you. Someone encouraged you. Someone emboldened you. Someone was with you, and you are protecting them. Why? He stammers. I'm not, but his voice breaks. It is not loud or dramatic. It is small, the kind of break that signals something deep inside him finally cracking under pressure. And then, from the very back row, a chair scrapes the floor. Everyone turns. A student, tall, shaky, eyes wide with hesitation, stands up. His hands tremble, his face is pale, and his shoes are bright, unmistakably red. He swallows, unable to meet the judge's eyes. Your Honor, he says, voice trembling, I need to say something. Judge Judy studies him with the stillness of someone who already knows the answer, but needs the confession. The red-shoed boy steps forward, each movement heavy with dread. He glances at the defendant, fear, guilt, and loyalty twisting inside him like a storm he cannot control. I saw everything, he whispers. The defendant's shoulders collapse. And, the boy adds, voice cracking, it was not just once. He stands there, tall but trembling, guilty but finally brave enough to speak. A mini-hook in 3 beats, his throat tightens, his eyes flick toward the defendant. And the entire courtroom leans in, waiting for truth to break open. Judge Judy nods once. Come forward. The boy with the bright red shoes walks toward the bench, each step unsteady, like he is approaching a cliff he knew he would eventually have to face. His hands shake as he clasps them together, and his voice wavers before a single word escapes. I saw everything, he repeats, softer this time. The defendant glares at him, fear, betrayal, and desperation twisting across his face. His parents turn sharply, shock widening their eyes. They clearly expected many things in this courtroom, but not a witness stepping out of the shadows of their son's carefully built story. Judge Judy's tone remains calm, almost gentle. Tell me what you saw. He exhales shakily. It was not just today. This has been happening for weeks. He swallows hard. Maybe longer. The victim flinches, not with anger, just a quiet ache, the kind that forms from too many silent battles. The witness continues. He did not just pick on him. He made it a game. His eyes drift toward the defendant, regret heavy in every movement. He thought it was funny. A low murmur runs through the courtroom, disgust mingling with disbelief. The defendant's mother rises abruptly. This is ridiculous. Kids exaggerate. You do not understand the dynamics. Judge Judy lifts a single finger. The mother stops mid-protest. The judge turns back to the red-shoed boy. What do you mean by a game? The witness's voice cracks. He would take his things, hide them, break them, make him beg for them back. Shame thickens his words. We all saw it. Some days the whole table laughed. The victim looks down. shoulders folding inward, the memory pressing against him like an old bruise reopening. Judge Judy's gaze shifts to the defendant, sharp but quiet. "Is this true?" the defendant stammers. "They're lying. He's lying. He's only saying this because you hit someone in front of a courtroom full of cameras," she finishes for him. He freezes. The judge turns back to the witness. "Why come forward now?" His voice lowers. "Because he told me to record it." A collective gasp ripples outward, gripping the air. Judge Judy's eyes narrow. "Record what?" The boy swallows. "The slap." The victim's breath catches. The gallery stiffens. The defendant's face collapses in panic. "He said he wanted a video," the witness whispers. "Something to brag about, something to show the group chat." Judge Judy sits back slowly. The weight of the revelation hangs like a storm cloud ready to burst. "Do you still have the recording?" His hands shake as he reaches into his pocket. "No," he says. "But—" the room holds its breath. "I have the screenshots," he adds, voice trembling, "from the chat where he planned it." The defendant's parents go pale. The defendant himself shakes his head, mouthing silent denials that no longer have ground beneath them. Judge Judy's voice sharpens. "Bring them forward." He steps up, placing his phone on the bench. The screen glows with a half-open chat, names, timestamps, and messages barely hidden behind a thin layer of teenage bravado. But there is something else. Something Judge Judy sees immediately. Something that shifts the entire mood of the room. She looks up slowly. "I have not shown you the most damaging evidence," she says. The defendant's breath catches. "Because what I have," Judge Judy adds, tapping the phone, "does not just show what you did, it shows what you intended." The lights shift as Judge Judy lifts the phone, its screen casting a cold glow across her face. A mini hook in 3 beats. She reaches for a USB drive. The courtroom stiffens, and the defendant's heartbeat seems loud enough for everyone to hear. Judge Judy holds the small silver drive between 2 fingers, the way one might hold a match before striking it. "This," she says, "is the reason your excuses no longer matter." The defendant's mother gasps. His father leans forward, face drained of color. The attorney mutters something under his breath, a whispered prayer for a case already lost. The judge plugs the drive into the courtroom monitor. The screen flashes. Then the footage begins. The courtroom goes silent, not the ordinary kind of silence, but the kind that feels like gravity itself has deepened. The video is raw, grainy, unfiltered, but truth does not need high definition to hit like a punch. In the video, the victim sits alone at a cafeteria table, eating quietly. Nothing dramatic, nothing confrontational, just a boy with his lunch tray and his worn backpack. Then the defendant enters the frame. He does not look startled. He does not look provoked. He looks thrilled. A smirk pulls at his mouth as he approaches, that same smirk the victim described, the one people in the audience already recognized, the one Judge Judy froze the video to highlight. He snatches the backpack, yanks it hard. The victim rises instinctively, reaching out, not in aggression, but in desperation. The defendant shoves him back with casual cruelty, enjoying the moment more than he hides. "You see that?" Judge Judy says quietly, pausing the footage. "There is no fear here." The room murmurs with agreement, discomfort, even anger. She presses play. The defendant says something, muffled but clear in tone, mocking, confident, certain no one important will ever see this. The witness with the red shoes shifts in his seat, guilt twisting him like a knot. He cannot watch, but he cannot look away either. And then the moment everyone has been waiting for arrives. The defendant raises his hand, not flinching, not recoiling, not reacting, preparing, choosing. He strikes the victim across the face so sharply the sound reaches even the recording's cheap microphone. The courtroom flinches collectively. On screen, the defendant laughs. The kind of laugh that curdles the air and makes the truth undeniable. Judge Judy freezes the frame exactly there, on the smirk. "This," she says softly, "is the moment truth speaks louder than privilege." The defendant hides his face in his hands, his breath unsteady. His parents look shattered, as if seeing their son clearly for the first time. "Why are you smiling?" Judge Judy asks, turning to him. She gestures to the screen. "Explain that expression, because it certainly does not look like fear." He shakes his head, unable to form words. His lips tremble. The smirk, so bold moments ago, now feels like a ghost haunting him from the screen. "Your Honor," his attorney begins. Judge Judy silences him with a raised hand. She steps closer to the monitor, tapping the frozen image. "This smile," she says, "tells me everything I need to know about intent." The defendant looks up, pleading silently for an escape that no longer exists, but Judge Judy's voice remains steady, controlled. "And I have one more question." She turns to the witness. "Why?" she asks. "Did he tell you to record this? What exactly did he want to show off?" The witness swallows, eyes filled with regret. He wanted everyone to see how he could put him in his place. Judge Judy lets the words settle like ash. She turns back to the defendant, eyes sharp as a blade. "Then let us see the rest of the chat," she says, "because every brag you made is about to become evidence." The courtroom stays frozen on the image of the defendant's smirk, the frame hovering like a held breath. A mini hook in 3 beats. Judge Judy steps closer. The defendant stiffens. And the truth sharpens itself in the space between them. Judge Judy gestures to the screen. "I'm going to ask you again. Why are you smiling?" The defendant opens his mouth, but nothing comes out. The silence stretches thin, so thin it might snap. His hands tremble, fingers curling against the table as if searching for something to grip, something real, something to hold on to, something that can pull him out of the image staring back at him. But nothing comes. I was nervous," he finally stammers. "Nervous," Judge Judy repeats, her voice quiet, deliberate, almost surgical. "That is the explanation you choose." He nods once, desperately. "Then answer this," she continues, pointing at the still image. "If that is nervousness, why does it look exactly like enjoyment?" A ripple moves through the courtroom. Shock, anger, understanding. The victim tightens his grip on his backpack. His eyes flicker to the screen, then to the defendant, then away again. The smirk clearly hurts more than the slap itself. Judge Judy turns toward him. "When he hit you, was this the expression you saw?" The boy hesitates, then nods. "Yes." He smiled first. Always. The defendant's face collapses inward. "That's not true," he blurts out, but it is too loud, too frantic, too exposed. The kind of denial that only confirms everything he tries to hide. Judge Judy raises a hand. "Let us allow the evidence to speak." She taps the screen. The image dissolves, replaced by scrolling text messages, group chat lines, emojis, plans disguised as jokes, but weighted with intent. They glow across the courtroom like confessions written in neon ink, laughing faces, screenshots. Phrases like, "Watch this, and he's going to cry, and make sure you get the angle." The defendant's parents look gutted. The mother covers her mouth as if holding back a scream. The father's posture caves, shoulders sagging under a truth he refused to believe. But Judge Judy is not finished. She pulls one specific message forward, enlarging it on the screen. A timestamp sits boldly at the top. Sent before the confrontation, before the alleged reflex, before the victim ever walked up to him. The message reads, "I'm going to slap him today. Bet." The room gasps. Judge Judy lets the silence settle like dust on an unclean truth. "So," she says calmly, "this was planned." The defendant shakes his head fast, too fast. "That's not, I was just joking?" Judge Judy asks. "Because you seemed very committed to the punchline." His breathing quickens. The arrogance that once carried him begins to crack under the weight of his own words. He looks around wildly, as if searching for escape, forgiveness, or someone else to blame. Judge Judy softens her voice, just slightly. "What were you trying to prove with this smile? That you were powerful? That you could humiliate someone? That you were untouchable?" He says nothing. Because the truth is already written everywhere around him. On the screen, in the video, in the victim's eyes, in the witness's guilt, in the courtroom's heavy quiet, and in the smirk he cannot outrun. Judge Judy steps back, folding her arms. "There is one more thing," she says, almost gently. "Your messages. These are not the only ones." The defendant lifts his head slowly, dread hollowing his eyes. Judge Judy taps the bench. I have obtained your private texts. His breath stops. And those, she says, her voice cutting through the silence, tell a story even worse than the video. The courtroom shifts the moment Judge Judy mentions private texts. A mini-hook in 3 slow, shattering beats. The defendant's face drains of color. His parents stop breathing, and every camera in the room leans closer, as if truth itself is about to speak. Judge Judy lifts a thin stack of printed messages, the paper crisp and almost too white under the courtroom lights. She does not wave them, she does not dramatize them. She simply places the stack on her bench with a deliberate tap that feels louder than the slap that started everything. These, she says calmly, are from your phone. The defendant's chest rises sharply. My phone? But you cannot. I can, Judge Judy cuts in, and I did. Because you were foolish enough to hand it to your friend to film the assault. You left a trail even your privilege could not clean. The victim looks down at his hands, as though bracing for what he already suspects. The witness with the bright red shoes sinks deeper into his seat, guilt folding him in half. The defendant's parents stare at the stack of messages as though it might catch fire. Judge Judy lifts the first page. Let us begin with this, she says, reading slowly so everyone feels the impact. Going to smack him today. He needs to learn. She sets the page down. This was sent at 10:14 a.m. The defendant swallows, his throat moving like someone trying to breathe through quicksand. It was a joke. A joke you carried out, Judge Judy replies. A joke you rehearsed. A joke you recorded. A joke you bragged about. She lifts the second page. Make sure people are watching this time. Her eyebrows lift, voice flattening. This does not sound like fear or reflex. It sounds like performance. The defendant's mother fumbles for words. Your Honor, teenagers talk. Sometimes they exaggerate. They do not mean. Judge Judy drops the next page onto the bench. He meant every word of this. The room stiffens. Every pair of eyes locks onto the next message she reveals. It is longer, more calculated, more cruel. He thinks he's safe because teachers like him. I'll fix that. The victim closes his eyes at the line. It hits like a bruise blooming beneath skin. The humiliation behind it becomes visible, alive in the room. Judge Judy exhales slowly, her tone shifting from sharp to grave. This is targeted, this is intentional, and this is premeditated. The defendant's voice cracks. I didn't write that. I mean, I did, but not like I wasn't thinking. No, Judge Judy interrupts. You were thinking clearly enough to timestamp it. She lifts the final page, the one she saved with purpose. This, she says, was sent at 10:07 a.m., before any supposed provocation. The defendant freezes. Judge Judy reads the line aloud, each word landing like judgment itself. Going to embarrass him today. Watch. The tension collapses into a stunned, heavy silence. The defendant's father sinks back into his chair, defeated. His mother presses her hands to her mouth, horror erasing every ounce of denial. Judge Judy leans in, voice soft but merciless. Why, she asks, is your plan written here before your excuse? The defendant cannot speak. His face twists, fear, shame, exposure, all rising at once like a tide he cannot outrun. His eyes shine with something he has not felt in years. Consequence. Judge Judy lets the silence weigh on him, because before he can answer, she turns another page and asks, And who, she says, is the person you were texting back? The question hangs in the air. Who are you texting back? A mini-hook unfolds in 3 sharp beats. The defendant's breath stutters. The parents exchange a panicked look, and the courtroom turns into a held exhale. Judge Judy waits. She does not repeat the question. She does not push. She lets the silence do the work of truth. It stretches across the room like a wire pulled too tight, humming with tension. The defendant finally speaks. It was nobody, just a friend. Judge Judy lifts the page again. A friend with no name, no number, no response history. The defendant's lips part, but only panic escapes. His throat tightens. His eyes flick to his parents. His mother shakes her head slightly, an unspoken plea. Do not admit anything. His father clenches his jaw, trying to telegraph strength he no longer feels. Judge Judy's gaze sharpens. Who, she repeats, were you planning this with? The boy swallows. I told you, just someone from school. It is a lie so thin it almost shimmers. The courtroom feels it. The audience shifts, murmuring under their breath. Even the cameras seem to lean closer, hungry for the moment where arrogance meets consequence. Judge Judy sets the papers down slowly. You are lying. The words strike harder than a raised voice ever could. He inhales sharply. I am not. Stop, she says. He does. She lifts the text again. If this was just a school friend, why, she asks, pointing to the final message. Does the contact name read Mom? A shockwave hits the room. The defendant's mother gasps as if struck. The father jolts upright. The audience erupts in murmurs. The witness with the red shoes stares in disbelief. Even the victim startles, eyes wide, unable to process what he just heard. Judge Judy holds up the paper. The timestamp gleams just as damning as the words themselves. The mother's face drains of color. That is not possible, she whispers. That cannot be. Judge Judy cuts her off softly. Your number is right here. Your messages are right here. This conversation is between you and your son. The defendant stares at his mother. Betrayal slicing through his panic. Mom? His mother shakes her head violently. I did not know. I did not. This is taken out of context. Judge Judy taps the bench once, a single command. Enough. Then she reads from the page. If he bothers you again, put him in his place. Sent from your phone. At 9:58 a.m. The mother's breath is a broken gasp. I did not mean that. I meant he should stand up for himself, not slap. Judge Judy's voice is calm but unyielding. You told him to exert dominance, and he did. You encouraged the behavior you are now pretending to condemn. The defendant's eyes glisten, confusion and betrayal warring in his expression. So, you wanted me to do it? His mother covers her mouth, unable to answer. Judge Judy leans forward. Children do not invent entitlement. They inherit it. The father finally cracks. Your Honor, please. He misunderstood her. He acted impulsively. This is not how we raised him. Really? Judge Judy asks. Because what I see here is a family teaching their son that humiliation is a solution, that anger is strength, that being challenged is an offense worth violence. The father stops speaking. The defendant closes his eyes. A tremor runs through him. Not fear, not anger, but the first flicker of something rarer in him. Realization. Judge Judy softens her tone, but not her truth. You have lied to me. You have lied to this court. And worst of all, you have lied to yourself. The boy opens his mouth to respond, but the words do not come, because something deeper is shifting, something breaking open inside him, something he cannot yet name. Judge Judy's voice slices through the silence, eyes fixed on his mother. Why, she asks, did you text him during the incident? The courtroom holds its breath as Judge Judy's question settles like a stone dropped into still water. A mini-hook in 3 beats, the mother's lips part, but no sound emerges. The defendant turns slowly toward her, and the entire room feels the weight of a truth arriving too late to outrun. Judge Judy repeats quietly but firmly, why did you text him during the incident? The mother's eyes dart across the room as if searching for an escape hatch. Her hands tremble against her designer purse, fingertips pressing into the leather. She swallows, once, twice, each swallow louder than the silence around her. When she finally speaks, her voice fractures. I was trying to help him. Judge Judy raises an eyebrow. Help him do what? The mother's composure falters. Her mascaraed lashes flutter rapidly, panic settling beneath them like a shadow trying to hide. I did not know he would take it that far. The defendant snaps his head toward her. You told me to. You literally told me. Stop! The father interrupts sharply, his voice low but cracking. Do not say another word. But it is too late. The boy's face twists. Pain, betrayal, and confusion colliding inside him like a storm with nowhere to go. His voice rises, cracked and raw. You told me I should not let anyone disrespect me, ever. You said I had to show people I was not weak. The mother covers her face, fingers pressed tight over her forehead. "I did not mean violence," Judge Judy cuts in, tone precise and unforgiving. "What did you mean when you wrote, 'put him in his place'?" The mother closes her eyes. There is nowhere to run now. She whispers, barely audible, I just wanted him to stand up for himself." Judge Judy's voice is calm, controlled. "By humiliating another child." A tear slips down the mother's cheek. She shakes her head, but her denial no longer has shape. "I did not think he would actually. I did not want him to hurt anyone." The defendant's voice breaks. "You always said I had to show strength. You said letting people push me around made the whole family look bad." The father tries to intervene, but this time Judge Judy does not allow it. "Sit down," she says, and he obeys, shoulders sagging under the truth he helped create. The judge looks back to the mother. "Your son did not invent this behavior. He learned it." The mother's tears fall freely now, streaking down her cheeks as the courtroom watches the collapse of a carefully curated image, the perfect family with perfect values and perfect control. Judge Judy sets the printed messages aside one by one, like laying stones along a path no one wants to walk. "You encouraged aggression," she says. "You rewarded arrogance. You built a world where your son believed dominance was necessary for respect." The mother covers her mouth as a quiet sob escapes. "And now," Judge Judy continues softly, "you are realizing the cost of that lesson." The defendant's eyes glisten, his voice a whisper torn apart. "I thought I was doing what you wanted." The mother finally looks at him, really looks at him, and something in her face collapses. Not anger, not defensiveness, guilt, heavy, unmistakable. "I'm so sorry," she whispers, "but apology cannot unwrite what has been taught." Judge Judy watches the emotional unraveling with a solemn stillness. "This," she says, "is how entitlement becomes inherited. This is how harm passes from parent to child." The room is silent, heavy, a mirror held up to a family unraveling under its own reflection. The defendant, shaken, whispers something almost no one can hear. "It was not supposed to hurt him." Judge Judy softens, not in leniency, but in understanding. "But it did, and now we see why." The boy nods, a tear slipping free. He wipes it away angrily, ashamed of the vulnerability he has never been allowed to show. Then he whispers again, broken, trembling. "He did not do anything. I just did not want to look weak." The courtroom does not move. Judge Judy leans forward, voice hushed but devastating. "Then tell this court," she says, "who taught you that kindness is weakness?" The question drifts across the room. Who taught you that kindness is weakness? A mini-hook unfolds in 3 trembling beats. The defendant's lips quiver, his shoulders sag, and for the first time, he looks less like an aggressor and more like a boy carrying something far too heavy. He wipes his face with the back of his sleeve, ashamed of the tear he let escape. His voice comes out small, almost childlike. "Everybody," he whispers, "at home, at school, my friends, everyone." Judge Judy stays still, not interrupting, not guiding, just letting him unravel because she knows the truth must come from him. The courtroom becomes impossibly quiet. Even the cameras stop feeling intrusive, becoming more like silent witnesses to a moment the boy has never allowed himself to face. "I wasn't supposed to be nice," he murmurs. "I wasn't supposed to let anyone push me around or let anyone think I was soft." The victim shifts slightly, not out of fear this time, but empathy he never expected to feel. The defendant continues, eyes fixed on the floor. "Every time I tried to ignore things or walk away, my friend said I was acting scared. My dad said I had to be tougher. My mom said people walk all over quiet boys." His voice breaks. "I didn't want to be the joke." Judge Judy tilts her head. Her expression softens, not forgiving, but understanding the deeper wound underneath the violence. "So you decided to become the one doing the hurting?" The boy nods, shame spreading across his face like a slow bruise. "It felt easy. Everyone laughed when I did stuff like that. They respected me more. Or at least, it felt like they did." His mother starts crying again, shoulders shaking. The father stares at his hands, unable to look at the son shaped by his expectations. The boy's voice lowers. But today, I didn't want to do it. They kept telling me I should, that I had to finish it, that I had to prove it, and I didn't want them to make fun of me again. Judge Judy's tone remains calm, but there's something gentler threaded through it. So you hit someone who never raised a hand against you? He nods, staring at the victim. I didn't want to. Not really. His breath stutters. I was scared they'd think I was weak. The victim finally speaks, voice quiet and steady. I was scared of you every single day. I didn't think you were weak. I just wanted you to stop. Something cracks inside the defendant at those words, something unguarded, unarmored. His shoulders fold in, and a sob escapes, despite every effort to shove it back down. Judge Judy watches this transformation with a solemn clarity. You were never weak for choosing kindness, she says. You were weak for choosing cruelty. The defendant nods slowly, absorbing every word like a truth he has needed for years. And hurting someone who did nothing to you, she continues, does not make you strong. It exposes how fragile your confidence truly is. He nods again, more vigorously this time, as if acknowledging the truth finally frees him from something. The victim looks at him, voice quiet but sincere. Why didn't you just talk to me? The defendant wipes his eyes. Because being mean was easier, he whispers. Because everyone said you were weird, and if I was friends with you, they'd make fun of me too. The victim exhales, not forgiveness, but understanding shaped by long experience. Judge Judy leans back slightly, letting the emotional weight settle. You chose violence to avoid vulnerability, and that is the lesson you were given. But it does not have to be the lesson you keep. The boy nods, face wet, no longer hiding it. Then he asks, broken, unsure, painfully honest, will apologizing even matter now? The courtroom holds still. Judge Judy folds her hands and says, that depends entirely on whether you're apologizing for him or for yourself. The question lingers in the space between them, heavier than the gavel, heavier than the evidence, heavier than the silence that follows. A mini-hook unfolds in 3 trembling beats. The defendant's breath catches. The victim straightens, unsure, and Judge Judy waits, letting the moment define itself. The defendant lowers his gaze, shoulders slumped, hands trembling against the table. For the first time in the entire proceeding, he is not performing, not posturing, not wearing the armor of arrogance or fear. He is just a boy, stripped of everything he once believed kept him safe. His voice cracks. I want to apologize. Judge Judy doesn't move. To him, she asks, or to the room watching you? There's a difference. The defendant nods, swallowing hard. To him. Judge Judy's expression doesn't soften yet. Then stand up, walk over there, look him in the eye and say something real. His parents tense, as if physically resisting the idea of humility. The father rises slightly, but Judge Judy raises a hand without even looking at him. He sits. The defendant rises slowly, hesitant, shaking, like a child approaching a truth he cannot rehearse his way through. His sneakers squeak softly as he crosses the few steps to the plaintiff's table. Every camera follows him. Every breath in the courtroom holds still. He stops in front of the victim. The smaller boy clutches his torn backpack, eyes uncertain, as if bracing for another blow. Emotional this time, not physical. The defendant opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. I'm sorry, he finally whispers. The words are fragile, but they are genuine. Not just for today, for everything, for taking your stuff, for embarrassing you, for treating you like you were nothing. The victim's fingers loosen around the backpack. The defendant continues, voice trembling with something he hasn't felt in years. Honesty. I didn't hate you. I never did. I just didn't want people making fun of me. I didn't want to be the joke, and I made you the joke instead. That was wrong. It was cruel. And I'm sorry. The victim's eyes glisten, not with pity, not with triumph, but with the quiet recognition of someone who has waited a long time to simply be heard. I didn't want you to get in trouble, the victim says softly. I just wanted you to stop. The defendant nods, a tear slipping free. I know, and I should have. The courtroom breathes again, slowly, shaken, uncertain. Judge Judy lets the moment expand before speaking. Her voice cuts through gently, like a scalpel rather than a hammer. "What you said matters," she tells the defendant, "but apology is not the end. It is the beginning of accountability." The boy nods and returns to his seat, not with arrogance, not with defeated anger, but with a weight lifted and another weight settling. Responsibility. The parents watch him, broken in different ways, one in guilt, the other in realization. Judge Judy turns to the victim. "Do you accept the apology?" The victim looks at the defendant, holds the gaze longer than anyone expects, then nods. "Yes," he says quietly, "but I don't want to be scared anymore." Judge Judy nods once, deeply. "You won't be." Her tone shifts, firmer now, authoritative, preparing the room for impact. "Because I will be delivering my decision next." The defendant's breath stalls. The victim grips the edge of the table. Every viewer leans closer. Judge Judy raises her gavel slightly, not to strike, but to signal what comes next. "But understand," she says, "my verdict will not be what either of you expects." The air thickens as Judge Judy lifts her gavel, not to bring it down, but to balance it between her fingers like a weight she's measuring. A mini-hook unfolds in 3 slow electric beats. The defendant straightens, eyes wide. The victim grips his backpack, and the entire courtroom senses something monumental approaching. Judge Judy rests the gavel gently on the bench. "Before I issue my verdict," she says, her voice steady as stone, "there is something I need both of you and your families to understand." The defendant's father leans forward, stiff and anxious. The mother's mascara streaks her cheeks, but her eyes are locked on the judge, desperate and terrified of what comes next. Judge Judy continues, her tone firm but heavier than before, as though carrying the emotional weight of the entire room. "This case is not just about a slap. It is not even about bullying. It is about a pattern." She lifts a hand, pointing toward the boy. "A pattern of behavior you learned, you lived, you followed, and you believed would protect you." The defendant swallows hard. She shifts her gaze to the parents. "And it is also about a pattern you helped create." The mother breaks into a quiet sob. The father's stoic mask begins to crack. Judge Judy's voice sharpens just enough to cut through their denial. "When you raise a child to fear vulnerability, he will weaponize strength. When you teach a child that kindness is weakness, he will choose cruelty. When you imply reputation matters more than empathy, he will hurt others to protect it." The parents sit frozen, absorbing the reflection they've spent years avoiding. She turns back to the defendant. "And when a boy believes his value depends on how forcefully he can assert himself, he eventually becomes exactly what you became, someone who hurts others to outrun his own insecurity." A hush falls so deep it feels like sound itself has disappeared. The defendant nods slowly, tears welling again, not from fear of punishment, but from the realization he cannot hide behind his excuses anymore. The victim watches him, not hardened but thoughtful, as though understanding the emotional unraveling happening across from him. Judge Judy softens her tone, but not her message. "Now, listen carefully. Accountability is not cruelty. Justice is not revenge." She gestures toward the victim. "And forgiveness does not erase harm. It acknowledges it." The victim nods faintly, gripping his backpack closer. Judge Judy lets her gaze sweep the room. "I can punish, I can reprimand, I can lecture you until your ears ring. But punishment alone does not teach growth. And growth," she glances back at the defendant, "is what you need more than anything." The defendant's eyes widen with a mixture of fear and hope. The judge continues, her voice quieter now, but imbued with gravity. "This is the moment you stop running from the truth of who you have been and start becoming someone better." A long silence pulses through the room. Then she leans forward, eyes steady. "And so before I deliver my verdict, I want you to answer one question, and answer it honestly." The boy nods slowly. "Do you understand," she says, "that the harm you caused came from fear, not strength?" He hesitates, then nods. "Yes," he whispers, "I understand." Judge Judy studies him for a long moment, seeing not just the boy standing before her, but the boy he could become. She lowers her gavel slightly, but does not strike. "Good," she says softly, "because what comes next requires that understanding." The room leans forward. The tension coils like a held breath. Judge Judy raises her eyes, voice calm and absolute. "Now," she says, "it's time for the verdict." The room holds its breath as Judge Judy finally lifts the gavel, its wooden handle catching the courtroom lights like the final stroke of a painter's brush. A mini-hook unfolds in 3 slow, decisive beats. The defendant braces himself. The victim steadies his breathing. And every camera in the room adjusts, ready to capture the moment justice takes form. Judge Judy lowers the gavel, but not all the way, just enough to signal control, purpose, and absolute clarity. "This," she begins, "is a courtroom, not a battleground. But today it became one, not because of violence alone, but because of the fear, arrogance, and broken expectations that led to it." The defendant listens, shoulders curled inward, no longer hiding behind the scaffold of bravado he brought in with him. His parents sit behind him, devastated, humbled, forced into stillness by the weight of what their son, and they, have done. Judge Judy shifts her gaze to the victim, her voice gentler. "You showed strength where most children would have shown anger. You stood here with honesty, not vengeance, and that courage will follow you far beyond this room." The victim nods, clutching his backpack with a steadiness that suggests he finally feels seen. Then the judge turns to the defendant. "You," she says, "must face a consequence that does not punish your future, but redirects it." His breath stutters. Judge Judy sets the gavel down fully now, but without striking. The absence of the sound is intentional, its silence more commanding than the loudest bang. "I am ordering," she says clearly, "mandatory counseling for the next 6 months, focused not just on anger and impulse control, but on empathy, accountability, and communication." The defendant nods, tears slipping down his face. "Second," she continues, "you will participate in a school mediation program, meeting weekly with a counselor with the victim's permission to build something you have never been taught: respect." The victim looks up, surprised but not opposed. Judge Judy adds, "This is not punishment, this is reconstruction." She lets the words settle into the room. "Third," she says, shifting her gaze to the parents, "I am ordering both of you to attend parental guidance sessions, not because you are villains, because you are misguided, and because your son needs you to learn what you never taught him." The father lowers his head. The mother wipes her eyes, nodding with quiet acceptance. "And finally," Judge Judy says, her voice steady as a struck chord, "you will offer restitution, not to erase what happened, but to acknowledge it." She gestures toward the victim's torn backpack. "You will replace what you destroyed and contribute to a community bullying prevention program of your school's choosing." The defendant nods harder, relief and remorse intertwining in his expression. Judge Judy leans back, the emotional gravity of the moment settling around her. "Justice," she says, "is not about breaking someone down. It is about building a foundation where harm cannot grow again." She lifts the gavel once more, not as a threat but as an affirmation. "This court," she concludes, "expects better from you, and so should you." She brings the gavel down with a firm, echoing crack, a sound not of punishment, but of release. The courtroom exhales, as if the entire room had been holding its breath for hours. The defendant's shoulders collapse in relief and sorrow. The victim nods quietly, his face softening with something close to closure. Judge Judy gathers her papers with calm finality, then looks at both boys one last time. "Remember," she says, voice softer now, "carrying the weight of a moral truth earned, arrogance collapses under truth, but accountability rebuilds." The cameras stop rolling. The audience rises slowly. And 2 boys, one wounded, one awakening, walk out of the courtroom changed forever.